Hey guys, Jay, welcome back to the channel. Oh man. Before we get started, I did want to say thank you to everybody who showed up last night to remember John Irwin, the voice of He-Man. We got through most of the stream, but yeah, I didn't quite make it. So thank you again. I did post the actual stream itself on my YouTube channel. So if you were interested in finding out myself, Rodimus Primal, and of course we read some excerpts from Eternia, for Eternia.com. AG over there did a wonderful tribute to John, and today I posted up a couple of tributes on my own, on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page. So guys, thank you out there to everybody who remembered John, the voice of He-Man. I mean, like, it to many of us, he was the voice of a generation, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that there will never be another voice like his ever again. And yeah, just something that I think we all share. And again, if we could just have a small moment for the man himself, John Irwin. He has gone to Paternia to claim his great prize. Thank you, everybody. Again, just a huge thanks to everybody who came last night to remember John. But today, man, it's, a lot of crazy, conflicting things that are happening. And I wanted to talk about this. I did talk about this earlier on Friday's stream over at Titan Toys. We covered this in a bit of an in-depth look into this. But it's one of those things which is a little bit sensitive, and a lot of the information that's going back and forth is a little bit out there. I mean, it's all over the place. And I wanted to try and make sense of this by going through a couple of articles, going through a couple of examples, and really try to zone in onto what exactly is happening, because there's a lot of misinformation going out there too. And really, we don't really. And it's still hard to tell because the question has come up multiple times, and a lot of us are just kind of confused as to what's really going on. But in reality, is what is it that's pulling this all together, and why is it happening now of all times? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of these great mysteries about the corporate world that is hard to nail down. But yesterday, as you know, we did cover this topic on TitanToys.com. Is Hasbro done with toys? You know what I mean? Because it was just such a really polarizing situation. A lot of people are talking about it online. And then there's more information to come, and I wanted to discuss that with you guys, as well as my good friend, who obviously I cannot do this without some help. And of course, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen, Comics Asylum and talk to them and find out what's going on. So I wanted to bring in Steve of Comics Asylum to give us a rundown about what's the heck's going on, and maybe together we can solve this. Steve, how are you doing, my friend? How's it going, brother?
I'm great, man. It's been awesome. It's been a long time since we've been able to kind of chop it up together. It's good to be back. See your smiling face. Been really busy because I've been part of a film production, so we've been kind of burning the candle at both ends, trying to get things done. And we're resuming filming on Monday, but had to take some time out so we can get together and chat about this, because this is big news, as well as some of the other stuff we're going to be chopping up and chatting about later.
100%. A lot of things going on in the movie industry, a lot of things going on in the comic book industry, a lot of things going on, and some cool stuff that we're working on, possibly together, that we'd like to touch on. So it's going to be an interesting episode for sure. But the first thing we're going to touch on, of course, is what the hell is happening with Hasbro. But before I get to that, how are things going with Comics Asylum? What are you guys working on, Steve? And what can we expect going forward with Atrium? Like, what's going on with you and your world?
So we've been really lucky. I think we got the books delivered to us, issues 4 and 5, after the Kickstarter was successfully funded a few months ago, and we just got the books in from San Antonio from Brenner, and they did a great job on the books. We just can't wait now to hopefully get them out to our backers this week, and then hit the convention trail and let everyone read the last 2 issues and wrap up the end of the miniseries.
That is exciting, and of course, Comics Asylum is doing well. Everything's going well on that side.
Oh, absolutely. I just got back from Orlando. Again, one of the other reasons why I haven't been on the live stream in a minute. And so we were down there for OAX, which is the Original Art Expo. And this is the second annual one. And it was great because we got to meet a lot of artists, Brian Stelfreeze, Bob Layton, Kevin Nolan was down there, Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor. And if you're looking for original artwork, that's the place to go. I even got a chance to speak to Nick Dorgoda, who is doing Absolute Batman. And if you go on to the Comics Asylum Instagram page, you will see I think about an 4 or 5 minute interview with him. It was a great opportunity to chat with him, and we got into the mix on why Absolute Batman is absolutely burning up the sales charts, as well as reigniting interest in comic books.
That is excellent. Very exciting about that. And of course, did you see Guy down there? Did you guys were you guys able to hook up or?
Sorry, meet up with who?
With Guy.
No. Didn't see him.
No.
Didn't get to see Guy, unfortunately. But it was something that if he didn't get down there, because I know there's a lot of people, it's something that he would really, really, really enjoy. And he would be able to get a table as well too. If you just go around and buy original art. Dave Finch was there. Denise Cowan was there. It was amazing. They even had a gallery where it was like Blacks in Comics, and it was focusing on the original artwork of not only blacks in comic books, but in like their first appearance of Black Panther. They didn't have any pages from issue 52 from FF, but they had pages from issue 53.
Nice.
They had the first designs and the first appearance of Robbie Robertson, who is a Spider-Man character. And one of the keys, you'll see it in one of the videos later on that I'm going to be putting up from the show. Robbie Robertson was actually Caucasian in his first appearance, and then they changed the artwork to make him be African American. So it was a great show. And there was an auction for a good cause. And I think Humberto Ramos' piece. It was either that or a David Finch piece. Raised $60,000 on its own.
Wow.
So it was a fantastic weekend.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
So glad. And you can probably check out some of the coverage on the social media for Comics Asylum. And of course, Atrium. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to Comics Asylum with Steve. All right, so we're also going to talk a little bit about, well, pretty much everything else, especially what's going on with Hasbro, a little bit to do with the Superman, controversy that's happening right now, and some other things that are happening around the comics and toy world. Let's say hi to everybody who's in the chat, because I think that they've all been waiting very patiently, and good to see everybody. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Always great to see you. Pedro Ribeiro from the other side of the Atlantic in Portugal is watching Mega Geriatry. Thank you always, Pedro. We hope to have Pedro on the show sometime in February. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. It's been a roller coaster with the live streams right now. It's just absolutely nuts. But I had to get on with Steve because it's been a minute. So when he said, let's get on, I said, all right, let's get on. Panzerotti, ciao from Italy, already subscribed to the channel. Pedro shared the link. Thank you so much. Of course, Pedro and his crew, man. Like, Pedro's bringing everybody. Rodilias, what's going on? Rodilas. My apologies, my friend. It's I've always had a hard time pronouncing names. Rodilas, I think. Hola de España. Aquí la 2 hours de la mañana. And of course, subscribe. Thanks to Pedro. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Gracias, Rodilas. Really appreciate it. Again, my Spanish is horrid, so my apologies. Antalya. Italy is watching. Team Pedro. You guys are just awesome. Thank you so much. Always great to see everybody from the other side of the world. And Quack, Portugal is watching Mega J. I knew the channel through Pedro Ribeiro. Thank you, my friends. You are all incredible. Of course, thank you to Pedro Ribeiro for bringing along his massive crew. Frankie Rivera is in the house. Jay, all is well. Yes, brother, all is well. A lot of things going on. The great Sculpt Viper Tommy is in the house. How's it going, Tommy? If Hasbro made the perfect G.I. Joe game, that could equal a lot of money. You know what? They just released a beat 'em up not too long ago. So it is interesting to see the parallels and how things are starting to move along. So we're going to talk more about that. Thank you for being here tonight, Tommy. Lord Hoagie, what's going on, my friend? Clint Jorgensen, For those on LinkedIn, Chris Cox, last post was pretty heartfelt to a student in San Francisco. And you know what? Whenever there's something which is affecting a lot of people, I mean, humanity is at the root of what we're doing here too. The community should always gather around and galvanize around good causes. So hopefully, Chris Cox's last message was very heartfelt. Rodimus Prime, 1982. That stupid is at it again. Okay. Slow down your roll, brother. Slow down your roll. Let's get to the truth first. Let's find out what's going on here. Rolando's in the house. Good to see you, brother. Palpatine, 1975. You will destroy Hasbro with his stupidity. Thank you, my lord. Always good to see my Lord Palpatine in the house. Timber from Limbo. What's up, Jay in chat? What's going on, my friend? Greetings, my apprentice. Very good to see you, my lord. Always good to see my Lord Palpatine. Timber from Limbo. Is this pre-recorded? No, this is not pre-recorded. This is live, my friend. This is live. What else do we have here? Huspas. Wolver Raven. Always good to see you, my friend. And Clint Jorgensen. What up, Frankie? Great times to be a Thundercats fan. Yes, it is an incredible time to be a Thundercats fan. Clint Jorgensen. Jay knows everybody. I sure hope I do. No, I know people are. I'm always glad to meet you guys in public. I'm always glad to make new friends. But yes, it's amazing to see you guys. Thank you. Mecha Man Blade is in the house. Pedro. Clint Jorgensen, you are right. Jay is like, you guys are too much. Rodimus Convoy, what's going on, brother? What an unfortunate last name. You know what? Let's be civil here, guys. Let's be civil here. Pedro, you are too much, my friend. Thank you for that. Timber from Limbo, I deleted that. So embarrassing. Well, unfortunately, it was not enough. Aaron the Toy Hamster's in the house. What's going on, Aaron? Always good to see you. I want to welcome everybody here to the chat. Of course, we are broadcasting live here on Mega J Retro as well as on Comics Asylum. So welcome to everybody who has been joining us. I'm here with my good friend Steve from Comics Asylum. Steve, this is crazy. A lot of new developments happening in the comic book world, as well as in toys, action figures, and movies. And of course, we here at Comics Asylum are looking forward to covering all of that. And today we're going to touch on a few things which happened very, very recently. But once again, Steve, if you'd just like to recap what's going on with Atrium and how are things going over at Comics Asylum.
Yeah, Comics Asylum is we're on fire right now. Everything is going really, really well. Super busy. I just got back from Orlando, a comic book convention called OAX. It was the second annual Original Art Expo in Orlando, put on by comic art fans. And what they do is they specialize in original art. So all the comic book pages that you see, that at least in the past, before everything went digital, they were done on 11x17 boards. And this convention had all original art. So there were no like Funko Pop vendors, no comic book vendors. It was just anyone who was an art dealer. And then they had a ton of artists there from different studios and some absolute legends. I had a chance to sit down with Bob Layton, spoke to Brian Stelfreeze, Kevin Nolan was in the house, Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, Adam Hughes was there, Humberto Ramos, Dave Finch, Denise Cowan. Oh gosh, he's slipping my mind. I think I said Brian Stelfreeze too, and for who did Brute. It was great. If you click the one in the middle there, then you can. I think that's a little bit of a video. I'm not sure, but there was a lot of good stuff going on that weekend for sure. Marco Rudy was there, a fellow Canadian artist. Dave Finch, as I mentioned before, and those are my badges and some of the posters that were going on. There was an auction as well too, and during the auction, I think there was an Humberto Ramos piece that turned out to raise, I think it raised like $60K for a good cause. So can't really complain about the weekend. And then, of course, issues 4 and 5 for Atrium. They just came back from the printers and were delivered to Vaughn. And we're ready to put those out so our backers can get them. And there you can see little bits of some of the artwork. That one of those pages there is from Spider-Man, I think it was 123, Luke Cage versus Spider-Man. And that's Nick Dragotta, who is the artist for Absolute Batman. So I had a chance to interview him, and there's the sunset of me going back to the airport in Orlando. Yeah, so it was a great show. Got to meet a lot of people, a lot of great people, a lot of great fans, a lot of dealers, as well as just regular folks that instead of buying the books, they buy the pages from those books.
That is excellent, Steve. Wow, what a trip! And I did catch a couple of your small live streams while you were there. It was a lot of fun. I saw that little bit of the auction that you were able to capture,
Yes.
and it looked intense. I mean, it
Oh
looked
yeah.
like there were a lot
Yeah.
of people interested in buying, and a lot of people interested in just being around the history of everything that was happening and going around there. What was your main takeaway from that weekend? I mean, did you find that it was an eye opening experience, or was it much the same as we've experienced with other conventions?
It's a completely different vibe. I was there for the VIP night, which was on the Friday, and that was just for anyone who was like media or had a special ticket. So it could be a dealer, it could be a fan, and I think that's me talking to Uko Smith, and he's a great artist. And this is what you're seeing there are some clips. That's a George Tesca image from Luke Cage #1. And so it was a very chill atmosphere, and the artists are right there, so you get to talk to them. If you had a VIP badge, you were able to get some commission sketches as part of the deal. And the amount of art that was on display, Simone Bianchi was there as well too. And you can see these talented individuals working live and creating pieces of art. Some of them were for the auction, and some of them were for commissions. And that is an OG Jack Kirby Black Panther piece. And this is the page I was talking about here, where it's Black Panther's appearance in FF53, his second appearance, not his first. And that's an Olivier Copiel piece, and that's a Denise Cowan Static Shock piece. And then that's just this one here with Thanos is just some of the great paintings that you would see scattered around the show. It was a great show. Got to meet a lot of great artists, and everyone was really open and welcoming. And it's just got a different, more laid back vibe than a regular show, where you might have like cosplayers, and there's nothing wrong with cosplayers and Funko Pops and all that kind of stuff. But this is where you get to sit one-on-one with artists, talk to them, see them in their element, drawing away, and you can then pick up pieces, and there were pages there worth $55K USD, just based on how like special the issue was, and then who the artist was.
Incredible, incredible. It looked like it was a great time, and I think if I may, it sounds like it's more of a mature sort of convention rather than a pop culture event, right? It sounds more like buying, like a lot of art buying, a lot of art selling, a lot of was the Alex Ross team there, or did they not show up to this?
No, I didn't see. I may have missed them, but I didn't see any Alex Ross stuff.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, Simone Bianchi was there. Denise Cowan, Dave Finch had a line from like Saturday morning to Sunday afternoon. Like people were just lined up to get his stuff.
Yeah.
Adam Hughes, who is one of the giants in the industry, he was there drawing away. Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti was there. I mentioned Marco Rudy as well too. The great gang from I think Spotted Ink, they were there as well too. So if you're looking for someone who's working on a book, whether it be a Marvel book or an Image book or a DC book, or they're doing cover work, that's the place to be. And I remarked, I can't remember who I was talking to, maybe it was to Brian Stelfreeze. That's the kind of gig, if you're a writer, you need to get to that show, because you can talk to a lot of artists. And if you want people to do, if you have a Kickstarter, or if you're looking for someone to do variant covers, that's the person. Like, that's the place to be, because you can actually talk to them, get to know them, and rock and roll, man.
That is crazy. I'm loving it, and very excited to see more of your coverage. But you know what, my friend Steve, you need one of those collapsible stools. You ever seen them? They're like circles, but then they kind of like kind of accordion out. You need one of those, because I saw you on your knees. That can't be good. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have to get you, because I saw that at San Diego. So many people were carrying those around. It fits in your backpack, and all you got to do is twist it once, open it up, twist it again, and you're golden. It's actually a really cool thing.
That's a great point. That's something I'll have to put in the arsenal. I only had to I think I had to bend down twice, and it was for the artists who weren't standing. But it would have been vital. Luckily, I still play enough hockey that my knees work, but I don't know how much longer that's going to be. So getting that
come on.
tool,
We're not getting any younger, brother. We're not getting any younger. Your knees are precious, and that thing's like adjustable,
with
because
the
like
salt and pepper, my friend.
So you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta invest in that stool, man. Invest in that stool. All right.
I definitely will.
Let's take a few more comments, and then we're gonna go right to our main story here, Steve. So thank you again, guys, for joining us. Renegade Biker. Do you think Elon, Space Daddy Musk, will buy Hasbro? That rumor, Steve. That it's like Elon Musk is buying everything. Elon Musk is buying everything, Steve. He's buying. What do you think, Steve? Do you think do you think Big Daddy Bucks, Elon Musk, will be picking up the Hasbros?
The Hasbro. Personally, I think he's got bigger chess pieces to move around the board.
I think so
at
too.
this point.
I think so
working in the U.S. government, so Hasbro might be down on the list, but you never can tell.
He's held back his aspirations to go to freaking Mars to handle whatever the heck he's doing right now. So
Right.
we will. I don't have any faith that he will buy Hasbro. It's a losing proposition for him. Rodimus Prime 1982, seeing this, listening to the stream while building a Gundam, nice, and watching He-Man and the Master Universe DVDs, dude. You honor us. Thank you so much. And again, John Irwin, he will be missed. Steve M, Origins Fright Zone shown in Germany. You've been looking at our notes there, Steve. So I guess Steve gave you a heads up, but we will definitely be taking a look at something like that. Who knows? Skullfiber Tommy, Rodimus, fun. Who are you building? Yes, inform us, Rodimus. Which Gundam are you building? And apparently it is the Master Grade Strike Gundam. Very nice. An excellent kit. We hope to see some pictures. Aaron, the toy hunter, of course. I hope Elon buys it. Aaron, you're funny, man. You're funny. Elon, those are pipe dreams, my friend. Pipe dreams. Tommy and Rodimus are kicking it off. Do you do the full 9 with the standing and painting? Woo! Tommy, of course, the artist wants to know what's going on. For those of you who don't know, Tommy is, of course, an incredible sculptor for Mondo. So, his work has been and his work on the animated series Batman has just been top notch as well, of course, with the Masters Universe. So thank you, Tommy, for your hard work. Renegade Biker, Jay, I'm still having some issues with building the Sky Striker. I have half the piece of the wing that I'm painting right now. Of course, Renegade Biker is doing a lot of 3D printing and trying to build 6-inch scale Sky Strikers as well as the Raven. And he's been at that for over a year. So it's pretty crazy. And he considers that Hasbro for $1 and take over the CEO position from Chris Cox. Maybe it should be a Trump buyout. Honestly, dude, I don't know. Like it's in pretty like they're floundering right now. I don't know if anybody can rescue them. I don't know if any new leadership is whatever it is. But let's talk about why they're in this position and what Chris Cox wants to do. Let's get to that first before we do anything else. Grego is back in the house all the way from Japan, back in San Francisco. Good to see you, Grego. Guys, if you haven't already, definitely check out the time scales and, of course, Spill the Geek Tea. Wonderful shows that you guys should definitely check out. Jay, did you know one of your live streams got removed? Yes, I did. And I got a warning. Wow. And
what?
It's my first warning. It's my first warning in 10 years. No, sorry, not 10 years. I wish it was 10 years. It's my first warning in 4 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I kind of did it to myself. I'm not going to lie. I kind of did it to myself. I was reacting to an episode of Master Universe, and apparently I didn't react enough or let one segment go for too long. So they shut down the stream. And the thing is, I didn't notice in time. So here's a quick tip: if they shut down your stream, if you have to monitor it pretty quickly. If they shut down your stream, stop whatever you're doing and just let it run. They'll restore it. Problem was, I didn't catch it in time. I kept streaming it with the thing, and then they gave me the warning. So if you ever get caught streaming something, stop it immediately, and they should let the stream resume. If not, if you appear to continue and not obey the guidelines, then yeah, they'll strike you, brother. They'll strike you. So
it's all time sensitive, basically.
It's a number of factors involved.
Right.
But at the end of the day, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I wanted to just celebrate John Irwin's life, but you know what? Depending on the sensitivities, of the rules and everything like that, it is what it is. So I've got a warning, and we'll see how that works. Aquarius Man, Stephen J. Huge big mistake. He's taking a big risk. He should realize what it's doing to his company. I hear you. I hear you. And the fact that it's a toy company. The fact that it is a toy company. And we're going to talk about that right now. Mecca and Blade saw one of those collapsible stools while waiting for line in Peter Cullen's signature con. It's a great stool. It really is. It holds.
Yeah.
It's my understanding it holds up to 200 pounds. So it's good. I mean, like,
all right.
It probably
have 10 pounds.
It probably won't hold my weight, but we shall see.
I'll get the reinforced one for myself.
Oh God, I need the double. I need the double helix one. I need two of them just to hold me up. Renegade Biker, Aquarius Man. I don't think Chris knows about that or the history of Hasbro. But brother, it's we're gonna find out a little bit more about it just now. So we're thinking. No, dude, I was being generous for myself. No, I'm plus 200. I'm not. I was trying not to really go that into depth. I wasn't going in depth as to we're not. This isn't a weight. This isn't a weight competition, okay, Tommy? Okay, this is not a weight competition, okay? When we meet up in person, you and I can start hashing it out, okay? But right now, like we're not humble bragging here, okay, Tommy? Okay, we're not humble bragging, okay? I love you, Tommy. Pedro Ribeiro, Jay, no sculptors from Mondo. Do you also know artists like Axel Jimenez or Roy Juarez? I've met Roy, great, wonderful person, incredible creative director, just an incredible individual. I want to meet Axel. I mean, like he seems like a great guy. I want to meet Tommy. I want to meet Tommy's hilarious. Sumo time, Jay. You know what, Tommy? I'll roll with you anytime, brother. I will roll with you anytime of the day. We're gonna roll. Steve Vendetta. I hope Hasbro's existing IP licenses and future licenses will make higher quality Transformers at a reasonable price. A welcome change. We might as well get into it now, Steve. We might as well get into it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure. So the question today, the discussion for today, Steve, the discussion of the day is Chris Cox is going to spend $1 billion in games. Now, spend is the wrong word. He's going to invest $1 billion in games. Is that correct? Is that statement false? Is that correct? What is going on, Steve? Is Hasbro a gaming company or is Hasbro a toy company? I think they're a little bit of both, Steve. But at one point, they wanted to be a movie company. They wanted to be an IP developer. You probably remember this, Steve. They bought Media One, a Canadian company, for about $1 billion, if I recall. It was a huge deal. And at the end of what was it, a 5-year experiment or something like that? They ended up selling it for half of its value.
Yeah, they took a haircut on that.
A haircut, dude. They took a haircut, a shave. I think they lost. I think they went bald with that particular deal.
That's ambitious, though. That's an ambitious kind of pivot.
It is, and you know what? Tommy does have a very good point. What if they talk about board games? Well, Tommy, we do have an answer to that because we're gonna dive into what exactly Chris Cox is talking about. And by the way, if people don't know, Chris Cox's previous position was an executive at Xbox. He was actually with Microsoft for a number of years, so he is a gamer. His whole mindset is in gaming, right? So Tommy brings up a really good point. What if he means board games? Well, you know what? We're going to find out more about that in a second. Huspa's Wolverine. Hasbro and Niantic had a Transformers GPS game in development, but scrapped it a year ago or so. I was disappointed. I'd rather play that than chase Pokemon. So yeah, it's interesting how many projects have been announced and quietly canceled. So it's interesting how these things are developing. So Steve, let's take a little trip down. Let's take some history lessons here. Let's go and talk about where this is all coming from and why we're so concerned about this. So, BNN Bloomberg reports, and this was back in November 20th of 2024. All right. So, Hasbro's gamer CEO focuses on play after a firm business sale. This was written by Cecilia
Film. After the film.
oh, sorry, Phil. Yeah, a film business. My apologies. After film business sale, Cecilia Anastasio. Sorry, my apologies. By Cecilia de Anastasio on November 20th at 24 at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it goes on to say that Hasbro chief executive Chris Cox couldn't hide his disappointment when he opened up 2 packs of his company's Magic: The Gathering playing cards at a board game cafe in New York City. Well, that doesn't seem set up at all. Cox likes to play from a red deck, whose aggressive cards, blah blah blah. But what the important stuff is that a gamer at heart, Cox was tapped into run that was the largest U.S. toy maker in 2022 after the death of his predecessor Brian Goldner, who incidentally was the one who was really pushing IP development and of course the movie portion and the media portion that Hasbro really did actually suffer quite a bit from, falling from their highs back around that time. Hasbro, like other companies, was enjoying a surge in sales with parents buying gifts for kids stuck at home during the pandemic. But the boom began to fade once kids returned to school and other activities. Sales of the company consumer products division, which includes classic toys like G.I. Joe action figures, Play-Doh modeling clay, are expected to fall for a third straight year. Analysts are forecasting only modest growth in 2025. Hasbro has laid off over 1,000 workers and is considering a move to Boston from its longtime home in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And that's also on top of the previous first quarter layoffs of an additional 1,000 workers. So it's been a rough year for Hasbro, Steve. This is pretty crazy in terms of its overall outlook. Meanwhile, Hasbro's co-financed Hasbro movie. Meanwhile, movies Hasbro has co-financed, including the recent Transformers 1, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, received critical praise but underperformed at the box office. So, Steve, did you watch Transformers 1 at all?
No, I've been so busy I have not, but I know that it's a movie that people have loved.
Let me say this: it's an advertising disaster. All right, I believe.
Yeah, you mentioned that actually.
I mentioned it in our last stream. I firmly do believe that if it was more advertised towards towards a overall family film, much the same way that Shrek and other films of that nature, where they have a little bit
or what's the one with the one with the minions? It slips my mind at this point.
What's it called?
Despicable Me, stuff like that.
Despicable Me. Yeah. If it had more of that family-friendly twist, where you know that it's for kids, but there's also something for the adults. The little back-end humor, the little tongue-in-cheek stuff. I think it would have done a lot better. I think that the perception that I received when I watched the trailers was that this is definitely a kids movie, and it was the complete opposite of a kids movie. At the end, it gets so dark. What Megatron does at the end is shocking. Right. Absolutely, like Steve, go on Disney Plus, freaking watch it tonight. It's only 90 minutes. Watch it, because seriously, that 90 minutes goes by like this. It is so crazy.
That shows you how good it is,
brother. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And again, when you get to the third act, you're like, what is going on? You literally are losing your mind. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not going to say what everybody else has been saying, which is it's way better than the first movie. No, nothing's going to be Transformers the movie. Optimus Prime dies, man. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, come on.
Last year, the company sold off most of its film and TV business and longtime rival Mattel Incorporated passed the company annual sales. With a movie like Barbie, I mean, is that really a question? That thing made $1 billion, for crying out loud. It's really strange how things are going, full circle. While studios such as Sony Group Corp and Lionsgate Entertainment Corp will continue to make movies based on the company's products, Hasbro itself won't co-finance any of those films. It's part of a larger strategy to involve more in video and other games. So that's very important right there. So we are talking about video games. which are popular with kids and adults and have been taking a greater share of the consumer's leisure time. And here's a quote from Chris Cox himself. We want to reach fans where they want to play, and it's increasingly that it is through digital expressions of their favorite brands. So we're not talking about board games here, guys. We are truly, truly, truly talking about video games, mobile games. And that was a quote directly from Chris Cox. And just as a reminder to everybody, the Microsoft Corp veteran joined Hasbro in 2016 as a president of the company's Wizards of the Coast division, which makes Magic the Gathering and popular Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games. Sales that unit nearly doubled 1.4 billion between 2019 and 2023. Cox introduced a new pack cards for Magic and the online version, and this is where we're seeing some growth, called Magic the Gathering Arena. The licensing deal hit the Monopoly Go and is expected to bring 105 million for the revenue this year, while another Baldur's Gate 3 garnered 90 million in the first 6 months. So obviously, Chris Cox, with his gamer mentality, with his background in Microsoft, is obviously moving the company towards gaming. That seems to be a very big consideration for himself. And here's where things get really interesting. Hasbro wants to make more games itself. The company has already invested $1 billion in developing video games. Cox said he's earmarked another 100 million to 150 million a year for future projects, including a new science fiction adventure game, Exodus, headed by the veterans of Baldur's Gate development developer BioWare. And BioWare is getting into some controversy these days as well. It's getting crazy out there, Steve. It's getting absolutely nuts. But 1 billion in developing video games. What are your thoughts on that, Steve? This is unprecedented. I mean, this is nuts.
Well, when you think about it, though, gaming is where it's at. Like, you think of all the mobile games, you think of like Marvel's like recent, I guess open.
Rivals.
Rivals.
Yep.
Marvel Rivals. That's a big hit. And when you think of the characters and the playability that Hasbro has just in its Transformers line, those would be great games when you think about it. And so I can see that, if you want to capture the new generation, like, old heads like myself, I won't put you in that category, but we're same vintage, action figures are the way to go, right? And just like we were talking with AOX, there weren't any kids there buying pages. That's of a certain clientele, of a certain age group. So if you want to grow and you want to, and you've already tried it by, making the toys or whatever you've done in the past, this pivot to me kind of makes sense.
I hear where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, Hasbro is a toy company, right? They are positioned in toys. Their expertise is in toys. Somebody brought up a really good question the other day. How much development difference is there between developing a toy versus developing a video game? And if you're talking about AAA games, big blockbuster games, some of those things cost upwards of 500 million especially in the case of Grand Theft Auto, they're spending $3 billion for Grand Theft Auto, for the new one. I've heard rumors of that. That is insanity. That is pure insanity.
It is insanity, right? But I think if Cox is looking at whatever numbers he's looking at, and his ROI is hitting a ceiling that they don't think is as high as they could go, then I can see where the pivot comes from. I don't understand the complete move away from toys, right? I can understand a gaming division. I can understand expanding that way. But to get rid of your bread and butter, I don't know. Let's just use McDonald's. McDonald's is going to stop making hamburgers and just produce Happy Meal toys. Like, it wouldn't make any sense to me.
So I'm totally 100% on board with you. Let's get through this article, and then we're going to show another article, which actually has a little bit of a deep insight onto that. And I agree with everything you're saying, though, Steve. We're navigating some very, very strange waters here. It's an interesting play. So this is interesting, and a little bit of a tell right here. Hasbro is also working on a new Dungeons and Dragons video game that hasn't been previously announced. Cox said, and an action-adventure game based on G.I. Joe that is currently in pre-production. Now, we've heard about a game for G.I. Joe, and recently it's actually been shelved. So I'm not sure that he's talking about that game or if he's talking about a new game that's actually in production. We have to wait and see.
Jay, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you one
Sure,
question?
sure.
Would Hasbro benefit the way that Warner Brothers did by shelving products? Can they like get tax breaks and stuff like that from this?
Interesting.
Like, but you know how the Batgirl movie was
Yeah,
absolutely shelved and the Scooby Doo movie was shelved?
yeah. Tax write-offs. That is a very interesting question. And it's very interesting that you bring that up because they are actually in litigation right now, or at least I believe I believe that they're in some sort of situation where the actual investors are looking to take legal action against them for all of the product out there that's actually being liquidated into liquidation stores. And
Right.
it's interesting that for full transparency, I wonder what the discovery is gonna prove if they actually are getting some tax breaks off of that. That
Mm,
doesn't stop the investors from saying, "Hey, you are cheapening the brand by doing this. What the hell are you doing?" Right? Our stock is falling. So I don't know. I haven't actually investigated on that, and that is actually a very, very good question, Steve. Thank you for bringing that up. We're gonna have to ask some people in the industry if that's a thing. If all these write-offs that they've been doing are actually giving them a tax incentive, a tax break,
it could
especially
be
during.
strategic, right?
Yes, it could actually be very strategic, but if they did not inform their investors of this, if they misled investors
Yeah.
as to the overall sales numbers, and then all of a sudden we find everything actually ending up at Ollie's or at Big Lots, which Big Lots is
Right.
now a thing of the past. That is a no-no in terms of like a public company. So it will be interesting to see how that development goes forward. But that is a great question. That's a great insight into that. That's crazy. Video games are, and here's a really good point. Video games are not a surefire way to counter the drag in toys and movies. In 2023, Wizard of the Coast canceled at least 5 video games. That's crazy.
That's a
Amidst a
lot.
post-pandemic contraction in that industry. More than 1,100 and more than 11,000. My apologies. 11,500 video game workers have lost their jobs so far this year. Some analysts predict that the market will rebound in 2025, but still won't hit the COVID-fueled high of 2021. According to Arpine Kosharan, I butchered that name. I apologize. Video games are very, 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 very. I cannot emphasize this enough. Competitive. I'm going to try this again. Steve, help me out here. Arpine
Arpine Kocharian.
Kosharian. Okay, Arpine Kosharian. My apologies, Arpine. We're going to get back on track here. A USB securities analyst. The only way to win is to have these strong brands that would withstand the test of time, but also strong execution. When you marry those, you get a success like Monopoly, Go, or Baldur's Gate. Am I hearing something like G.I. Joe could possibly be one of those strong
Yeah.
brands? Am I hearing like Transformers could be one of those really strong brands? It's interesting. Hasbro is looking to invest more in its Magic video game format. Sales of the fantasy card game have grown each of the last 6 years, and in 2022 crossed the $1 billion in revenue sales. But Cox and Magic, Cox said the Magic Arena, while popular, doesn't harness Magic's 2 biggest growth areas: collectability and its Commander format, which involves more players and cards. Currently, Hasbro is testing a video game version of Commander, which would potentially be separate from Arena and allow more than 2 players to compete. Hasbro is also looking to make the digital versions of its cards more collectible, like a popular game, Marvel Snap. You played Marvel Snap, haven't you,
No,
Steve?
I have not. To be
Who
honest
was
with
it?
you, I have been in a almost like in a little bubble, in a little cocoon. I've been so busy trying to get other stuff done. I haven't been able to branch out and check all this other stuff out.
I do know that my friend Danny is definitely playing Marvel Snap. While we were doing the road trip, he showed me his play deck, and it was interesting. It was a very interesting mobile game. So again, I'm not really into mobile games, but it's my understanding that they are incredibly addictive. And when you start getting into the pay to play model, I think that's where the real money starts getting into it. Magic is adding, and here's an very interesting point. Marvel is adding Lord of the Rings characters into Marvel Comics. Sorry, is Lord of the Rings characters and Marvel Comics into this fantasy game setting, providing mixed reactions from fans who say Hasbro is diluting Magic's vibe. Still, Magic's Lord of the Ring cards were in its second such series, surpassing 200 million in a lifetime revenue, and the game's fastest and top selling. Hasbro hopes the set will bring new and lapsed players, and Spider-Man Inspired Collecting is coming in 2025.
That should be a hit.
That should be a huge hit, and I think, obviously we are seeing results from this, so it's no wonder that Chris Cox is moving in this direction. Think of Magic as a canvas. Ken Troop, the global play leader for the title, said in an interview last month on Hasbro's New York office, Magic IP is one of the things that we can put on a canvas, but we can't put other things on. That's an interesting quote. Back at the Manhattan Cafe, Cox pulled ahead of the Magic game and closed his chest, blah, blah, blah. And here he is. What makes Magic so successful is what will drive Hasbro's success in the future. Cox said with a bit of a crackle in his voice, it's grounded in play. So you can really see just by his tone, just by how he's speaking, he really wants to move. He really wants to move Hasbro into a gaming arena, like whether it's board games, whether it's card games, but more especially, it seems like he's really moving towards the video game digital arena. And I'm kind of torn on this. I mean, like, I don't mind a little bit of both, but there are concerns by many of us in the communities who say, does that mean that budgets for the toys are going to start decreasing? After all, many of the biggest teams for adult collectibles have been thinned out completely. So the Star Wars team is very thin now. The G.I. Joe team has been constantly pared down for over the last couple of years, and it just seems to be affecting their overall productivity. And we are very, very concerned of that. There's another article which I want to go through, which really dives deep into that. But Steve, give me some insights here. What are your thoughts overall on this move by Chris Cox?
I think it's like, if you bring in someone whose background is in a certain area, they're gonna kind of dig down and drill into what they know best. And obviously, it's no secret that there are aspects of Hasbro's IPs that are kind of lacking in the gaming world. And if that's an area where you can get a lot of revenue, I get it. Like, that's where you'd go. I just if Ferrari stopped making racing cars and relied on like purses and shoes, I would shake my head. So I'm not quite sure what going away from making toys is all about fully, but I can see it. Like, I can see the expansion. It's just there has to be some sort of an economic, not only just a windfall, but also a savings in whatever they're doing, because to burn all of these projects, it's going to cost a lot. Yep. And that gets into your startup money into what you want to do with gaming.
I'm totally on board with you with that. And it's interesting. And we're going to have to see what happens in the next couple of months. We got a whole bunch of great comments.
Lots of comments.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments in the chat. Let's see what everyone's saying here. Steve Vendetta, just imagine Flames Toys and 3 Zeros making officially branded Transformers figures for the mainstream retail market, not to mention any other toy makers that will emerge to pick up the pieces. So we're going to get into that, because licensing seems to be a big thing happening at Hasbro as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Steve. James Howlett, the game is Exodus from Archetype Studios, a subsidiary of Wizards, and it looks pretty good. So there's a lot of talk about these brand new IP games that are starting to come out and being developed. Let's see here. Renegade Biker. Steve Hasenfield died in 1989 from pneumonia and cardiac arrest. I was battling AIDS. I just read this on Wikipedia. Well, we're sorry to hear that, brother. So I hope that everything's going right. He was the founder of Hasbro. Wow, that's pretty crazy. And he lived long enough to see where the company is now at its heights, and now it's starting to slowly come. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. The future is uncertain. Rodimus Convoy. I was just reading that declining toy sales and underperforming movie sales. It's been like that for the last couple of years. Honor Among Thieves. Again, the IPs are great, but their performance in the theaters was not well received. And you got to remember, people were just getting back into the theaters around that time, and unfortunately, a lot of people were still very cautious about, gathering again. So there was a cause and effect on a lot of things that were happening around this time. Um, let's see here. Uh, Tommy, my 10-year-old son doesn't play with figures. He'd rather play online as an avatar and play that way. And I think that Hasbro is starting to understand. And I think that moves into what you were saying, Steve. That Hasbro is recognizing that people are aging out, right? Like you said yourself, at that show, there was no kids buying pages, right? They were there was mostly adults, right? It was in, and this is a reality I think we all have to start dealing with. It's pretty crazy. Mecha Man Blade. My friends and I love Transformer One. It's a shame they underperformed the box office. Thankfully, it's found an audience through streaming and of course YouTube. We also got to remember that Austin Powers, right? That died in the movie theaters. It was a very underperforming movie, and through video sales and DVD rentals and all of that crazy stuff that was happening during the time, it got a cult following and actually ended up making two more
Yeah.
movies, two more movies.
2 more movies.
So I mean, it there is life after an IP's death, if you will. Let's see here. Motu Master, hello Jay. I think the new Captain America movie will be a hit, and we all want the Red Hulk figure. I think it will sell a lot. Bravo to Hasbro. It's an uncertain thing right now because I think there's some rumblings happening about reshoots again.
There's a,
Like I
there's,
don't know.
there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat, and it's not positive about that film. I know Anthony Mackie had to clarify some statements with, I guess, what Captain America represents, and with things being a little bit heated, the rhetoric is a little bit heated right now. So there's that, and then the fact that they had to rewrite and rename, a character, Sabra, who is really a Mossad agent in the comic books, but is a CIA agent in the movie. But it's still tracking to make a lot of money, right? So I don't know. I think it's going to do well, but the MCU is kind of up in the air in this phase that they're in because it doesn't have any of like the big three characters to
There,
drive the films.
it is hard, right? It is really hard. I mean, all the major actors have either retired, stepped back, or are in transition, right?
Or
So
coming back as variants.
yeah, it's exactly, or different characters entirely, right? So
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where, and yeah, a bit of a spoiler there, but it's going to be kind of interesting how the next level of Marvel is perceived, but time will tell. Steve M, kids don't play with toys anymore. It's either phone or playing Fortnite. That's a
Or
that's a very
huge.
spacious, yeah, but that's a very spacious statement. I think that everyone has their own ways of play, but physical media seems to be less important to kids. I think compared to experiential concepts like again mobile and digital. Skullfire Topping, ooh, Bioware, scary name to be attached to in today's climate, and that's exactly why I think it's interesting how these relationships are starting to come together. Let's see here now. Renegade Biker. The major problem nowadays, Steve M, I guess, is the imagination has faded from modern day games, and that is, very frightening to me right now, Steve, because you and I have discussed the idea of AI replacing people's jobs, and I think it's diluting a lot of what is possible. And I've seen people commenting on how some Netflix movies are now being AI augmented for different regions, so that the speech is different. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's becoming a little bit of a catch all for people and for productions to save money. And I don't know if that's the right direction to go in.
Before you go ahead, there was one thing that I didn't realize about on Netflix movies. Apparently, they've canceled some series because you have to be too involved to watch them. And I don't know if the CEO or CFO mentioned that they like series that people can watch while they're cooking. So it's almost like an earworm while you're doing something else, and that shows on in the background. So it's hard to have shows with imagination if that's kind of the mandate of the streaming company.
Yeah, it's again difficult things to consider, and those are videos in their own. To be honest with you, Shao Kahn, what's up, my friend? How you doing tonight? Um, Steve M. Hail the rule of the outer world. Yes, indeed. Dave's Dimension. Make a GI Joe game, open worlds. Make something similar to DC Universe Online. Games that make your own custom original Joes, Cobra agents, and possibly reopen selfie series to print your own characters. Those are some great ideas, Dave. Maybe you should head over to Chris Cox's home and have some
Bravo.
discussions.
That's a great. That's a great one.
That is a great move. And you know what? I'm going to star that, and we're going to talk to Chris in the morning. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Steve Vendetta. Once Hasbro no longer makes toys, it could be considered has been. Oh, Steve, always got the zingers. Always with the zingers, Steve. Thank you so much for putting that one in there. Let's see here. WJ Cox things up the more. All right. Let's. I put that one there specifically to just put that out there. Steve, Hasbro's IP licensing is extremely lucrative. It will carry the company for years. This has been the case actually of recently. So it is what it is. James Howlett, there is a trailer for Exodus on YouTube. Excellent. We'll have to take a look at that. Rodimus Prime. We don't talk about Snake Eyes Origins movies at all. Oh, no, we don't actually. We don't really talk about the G.I. Joe movies much at all, and I wonder why that is. Here's something. Steven Etta. Tax write-offs for unrealized projects yield only short-term gains, but they are short-term gains, and that's a very big thing for some companies. It's very
It
important.
helps the books. It helps the books in a really short window.
It's crazy. Will Sabra's new name be Yenta?
Not sure.
Understand? No, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what he's saying there.
Yeah, must be a tongue-in-cheek thing. Dave's Dimension. Agreed. Hasbro needs to stop with the financial band-aids, build towards a future, and stick with it. Stop swerving all over the place, all over the road, so to speak. I hear you, brother. And
Jay, you know what just hit me? If they made a Void Rivals game, that would be pretty cool.
It would be. I think you're right. And you know, it's not like they don't have the availability to do it. So, yeah,
or the writers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. Something again. We should have a meeting with Chris in the morning. We'll find out. Dubia J. I hate AI so much, dude. I don't hate it. It does have its place in certain industries, but creativity wise, it really has put a tremor in the creative world. Let's take a look at this next article, which really hashes out what's actually happening with toys itself. This comes to us from Cybertron.com, Steve, and it's written by. It was posted by William James 88. This was January 26th, 2025. 2025 will be a transformative year for Hasbro as they focus on gaming while producing less toys. I'm going to move past the first couple of things and just talk about this one here because we already talked about gaming. I'm going to move a little bit further down, come back to gaming, but here we go. Lowering their focus on toy production. And this is where things really start to get a little bit too close to the chest here. So let's take a look at this one, guys. I shouldn't have done that. Restructuring of the company has had some massive repercussions in toy development. As we saw last year, there were massive layoffs all across Hasbro, including the management of the Transformers toy brand. Teams are now leaner. The biggest change is with the Power Rangers brand, and this is where things get shocking, Steve. Just to quantify this, a number of years ago, I believe it was just prior to the pandemic, Hasbro spent billions in acquiring the Mighty Morphin Power, the Power Rangers brand from Saban Entertainment. They own it now, lock, stock, and barrel, and they have just made a mockery of the whole brand entirely. Whether it's the actual films, the television series itself, or the toys, it's been an abysmal handling of the whole situation entirely. And now we find out Hasbro will not be making their toys anymore. What is going on here, Steve? A toy company who owns an IP outright is now not even going to make their own freaking toys. Can you believe that?
That's insane. That doesn't make any sense.
That is absolutely horrid. But the reason that is because they've mismanaged it so poorly, and now they really don't know what to do with it. So guess what? Instead, Hasbro has licensed toy company Playmates to do the production. Oh my God! One of their chief rivals in the industry, Playmates Toys, of course, makers of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles phenomenon back in the '80s, is
Mhm.
now going to be in charge of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. My God, Steve, how the times have changed. This is crazy.
You know, if you hang around long enough, your enemy becomes your friend, right?
Oh gosh, I remember I did a report a year ago where I first found out that Hasbro and Mattel were getting into bed with each other, and at that time I said, "Dear God, hell is freezing over." And not
Yeah.
even half a year later, I think it was like 6 or 7 months later, Hasbro got into bed with Playmates, and I said, "Hell really has frozen over. This is ridiculous. How does the biggest toy maker in the world all of a sudden make minor deals with its competitors?" It was absolutely mind blowing, Steve. It was crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does not. It does not. They'll be handling the figures we see on shelves, Zords, and everything to do with the brand toy wise. With Power Rangers, Hasbro is just using Playmates as Disney uses Hasbro. For Star Wars, it's funny they should say that because in the very next breath, this is what's really shocking, Steve. Really shocking. Let me ask you this, Steve. What is one of the greatest IPs to have ever come out of the 70s and 80s?
It's Star Wars, man.
Exactly. And when
It
you
is
have
the IP. It is the IP to
it
come out of
is
the
the
70s.
IP. It is the IP. And if you cannot make money on Star Wars, Steve, I think someone's doing something wrong. Wouldn't you say so? Like that
Yeah.
is just yeah. So listen to this, Steve. This is where things get absolutely shocking. Speaking of Star Wars, that's another area where Hasbro is growing less and less involved in the toy production since they have chosen to sublease their master license. Steve, what the hell is going on?
What? Yo, you need to do that again. You got to repeat that again because I didn't quite sink in
I'm
yet.
going to go slowly now. Speaking of Star Wars, that's another area where Hasbro is going less and less involved in toy production. Remind me where some of the biggest, like where George Lucas made the most money from fans when he first started licensing out Star Wars.
It's the
Wasn't
toys,
it?
man.
It was
It's the
toys.
toys.
It was freaking toys. And Hasbro has chosen to sublease their master license. Oh my
I,
God.
I
Quantifying this, they will still produce certain toys. This explains why we see other toys on the toy shelves made by different companies. This mitigates their risk of overstock, which has a royalty built into them behind the multiple times before. Fun fact, them owning the master license is why Star Wars Funko Pops must be bobbleheads, as Funko does not have the rights to make Star Wars action figures, only Hasbro. Steve, this is ridiculous. This is
I'm
absolutely.
I'm listening to you and I'm reading it and I'm still
You're not understanding.
kind of gobsmacked.
He's not understanding. All right, so let's
Jesus.
take a trip. Let's take a trip down memory lane. And I'm sure many people in the chat are probably going to chime in on this. So, Steve, because you're a little bit further removed from toys, of the last couple of years, the biggest toy movement has been into 6-inch toys.
Yes.
GI Joe Classified, Star Wars Black Series,
Yeah.
what's it called? Thundercats Classics, Thundercats Ultimates, Masterverse Classics. All of these became adult collectibles, right? Like 6-inch toys.
Mhm.
So you went from 3 3/4 inch figures, which were kid size, to
Yes.
more 6-inch figures, which are double the size, so it's bigger in adult hands. And one of the biggest brands when it first came out was, of course, Star Wars Black Series, which
Yes.
was reissuing many of their original, legacy brands like Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, and then really took off on its own, arguably, with The Force Awakens, only to have knocked down in excitement the very next movie, and then literally that's where we started seeing all these action figures on liquidation shelves. I joke about Hodol being pretty much everywhere, holding the door. I'm just saying. But this has now been a roller coaster effect, where Black Series is still one of the brands which a lot of collectors have moved towards. but because once again of the handling of the IP for Star Wars and the way Hasbro has been doing it in recent years, which is repaint after repaint, reissue after reissue, classic cards, retro cards, vintage collection, this collection, that collection. I think a lot of Star Wars fans are just seeing a lot of crap coming onto the market, and they're sick of it. They're actually really sick of it. The real issue a lot of people are coming out to is that there's nothing exciting out there anymore. Like a lot of the figures are looking uninspired. A lot of the figures are looking rather tired and worn, and it's just something that many collectors of Star Wars have just become a little bit fed up with, and it's apparent because the last couple of Hasbro um, HasLabs, which are crowdfunded projects, nearly every single one of the Black Series projects has either failed or barely made the crowdfunding, and the vintage collection HasLabs have actually done much better in their overall reception with the fans. So it's a real telltale sign that Hasbro is not very well associated with Star Wars as they used to be, and it's a scary situation when you're hearing facts and or at least reading about this, that they're actually interested in subleasing their master license. And we've actually started seeing better products coming out of Asia, because the Asian market has its own license for Star Wars, where we see SH Figure Arts, right, getting some amazing figures out of their line for the Mandalorian, for what's it called, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Empire Strikes Back, all these great legacy brands being done with the Japanese articulation, Japanese aesthetic, and it's just so crazy. Then we're also talking about Hot Toys, how Hot Toys really has a great license and really making some really great products, right? So now that this is the case, a lot of people are now saying that Mezco, who's making some crazy action figures right now, should be in the running to get this license. And I think that they've been hinting at it for years. They really want this license, and they really want to be in this conversation. It's actually pretty crazy, and I'm shocked. I'm literally shocked, and as you are, you still cannot comprehend the idea of how is it anybody would sublicense a master license for this. I mean, Steve, let's go back a little bit into your history. You've worked on this. You've at some point helped with the Star Wars brand. Been involved with it in some of your dealings.
During Revenge of the Sith,
yeah, and like way back when, 12, 10 years ago, what was it like? I think Star Wars could do no wrong back then, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we were doing like not only character designs but also package art for Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars, GI Joe, and Transformers, and like that product was hot, man, and it's kind of mind-boggling thinking that we're at the point today where people are trying to like give away the golden goose but still keep the eggs. It seems kind of weird, but maybe that's the way that it is. And you mentioned Hot Toys, and when you think about it, if you can have that kind of a sculpt still with an action figure, oh man, those would absolutely slap for sure.
100%, absolutely. And it's crazy to even conceive that this is something that Hasbro's even considering. Never in a million years would I thought that a master license holder would want to sublease anything, but it really does give credence to the idea that Chris Cox is looking at something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at a completely different direction.
I'm sure they've run the numbers, Jay.
I'm scared. It is frightening, though. It is frightening. And I guess we'll find out in the coming year, whether or not a gamble like this. I mean, $1 billion already. Like, we're not talking about they're planning on it. They've already spent the money.
Yeah, a drop in the bucket, not quite.
Well, it is a drop in the bucket now. Let's see where.
Oh my gosh, Steve Vendetta, you must work for the CIA.
I thought I heard Steve say something about Sabra's name being changed. Did I mishear you, brother? and his actual comment was, "Steve, did you ever work at Drexel?" Oh my God! Whoa! Wait a second.
Yo,
Hold
man,
on.
Steve Vendetta is either CIA or
No,
CSIS.
you Google that, you SOB. You Google that. Oh my God, he's gonna dox us all now. Okay, I'm scared. I gotta Steve. I
Yes,
gotta
Steve,
check my
absolutely,
profile.
it's true.
I gotta check my profiles now, Steve. This is getting no. Steve's getting too close to home now. This is not good. This is not good.
Yep. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a crazy time. But yeah, it's all true.
That name, where did that not right, bro?
Yeah,
Steve, I applaud you.
Yeah, man. Bravo. Well done.
I applaud you.
Jay, I think we're losing your audio.
Very interesting. What the hell?
Is it me or is it you that's sticking?
No, it's me. Something's going on. Can you see me now?
Okay. Yeah, but you're all pixelated. You're all fuzzy.
All right, hold on. Let me try and fix that. Let me see what we can do here. I don't know what's going on. No. What?
It's like you're buffering or something on your end.
Like old. I don't know. Steve, why don't you? That was hilarious. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I can't believe that you brought up a name.
That's a blast from the past, man. An absolute blast from the past.
I can't believe blast from the past. That is insane.
What do they call that? They call that inside baseball, right? Is that what they call that? When you do a deep dive like that only a select few people know?
Information like that information should not be getting out there.
I think Jay's looks like it's gone. Well done, Steve Vendetta. Yes. I can't get that up. But yes, you don't know my last name, but you did a great job with the putting together the Revenge of the Sith and working with Lashley Studio. So yes, I was there back in the day. Well, it looks like Jay's gone. So let me see if I can keep it running until he comes back. Let me see what's going on here. Did we lose Jay completely? Yeah, looks like it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun working on those packages back then. And it was a great way to kind of reinvigorate those brands with some comic book inspired art on the packaging. And it was kind of cool for us because at that age, because that was about almost 30 years ago, actually, yeah, close to 30 years ago. G.I. Joe was still pretty near and dear to our hearts, and so was Transformers. So it was great working on those package designs and coming up with new toys, and then also getting to go to San Diego around the time of, I think it was 2001, and being on the edges of when Star Wars was making its way back into theaters. It was a lot of fun. Those are heady times working on a lot of great products and a lot of great IPs. Now I can't get to the comments because I think only Jay can get to them. Let's see. No, WJ, I can see you saying here that Hasbro wants to make this their future. You can't make this up. I agree with you, but I'm sure that they've run the numbers, and it just has come across that there's no way, or at least the path forward. I'm not saying that I agree with them, but everyone's looking to make as much buck as possible, and especially after they got the artificial bumps of COVID, because COVID kind of changed the game for everybody in terms of how much money you can make, and because everyone was stuck at home. So now that the world's kind of back to normal, we are in I guess, a new economic reality, and people are trying to figure out a way to get to those kind of those economic heights of the early 2020s. We'll see. Let me see how. Let me see if Jay is fully out. So I guess we're done. All right. So because there's not much I can do on this end, I'm gonna wrap up the chat from my end of it. But thanks everyone for coming by, and it was great. And we'll see you on our next show. All right. You guys take care.
difficulties here. But I think I'm back. And let me know if you guys can see me. Wow, that I don't understand. Like everything's really, really slow. It's just I don't know. Something's going on with my internet. I think it's probably just the time of day. I don't know what's going on. But guys, I want to thank you guys for being here. It's been got interrupted. Things uh were holy crap. Are you serious? Steve, I even visited the studio a couple of times in the early 2000s, hung around with Ken. His Bobby, the wrestler, showed up one time when I stopped. Oh my god, Steve, the heck? Jay, I don't even know Steve's last name. How could I Google him? The tip off was when he mentioned designing Star Wars, which was what Lashley Studios did. Wow, dude. Um, Good on you, brother. So you were you part of the crew way back when? Because dude, that you really got you really got the better of us a little while ago. That was just something like we really just both Steve and I were like, what's going on? This is the Twilight Zone. This is literally the Twilight Zone. Like we did not know what was happening there. Um, let's see here. Anything else? Motu Master, Hasbro's Monopoly Go. The mobile game generated billions of dollars in revenue. By 2024, the game generated over $3 billion in revenue. It's pretty crazy what they're able to do and what they're doing right now. So I can definitely see, um, the potential. So yeah, it's definitely high up there. Um, and it really does look like I'm having a major issue here. I'm going to try something completely different and kind of radical here. Let's try this. Let's see if this works for me, because I just want to be able to at least finish off strong, because you guys have been here all day and I really appreciate it. So let me see if I can make this work. Give me 1 second, guys. There we are. Hold on to your horses, guys. We'll one actually takes, and we'll find out what's going on here. So let me just. Is that any better, guys? Because I am on a hopefully a stronger connection. There we go. I think that's much better. Let me see if I can get Steve back in here. Oops. Let's see if he'll come back. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy situation here at the house. We started late, and now I'm just trying to get this. I'm trying to finish the stream. I'm just trying to finish the stream. So it is what it is. But basically, let's take a couple of comments from the chat. Please to mention. Agreed. Hasbro needs to stop with the financial band-aids, build towards the future, and stick with it. Stop swerving all over the place, so to speak. Absolutely. Um, let's see here. Steve M. More than just Star Wars, plenty of other Hasbro products out there too. 100%. That is absolutely true. Motu Master, the second best-selling board game in the world, Monopoly. There are over 300 versions of the Monopoly game. These include editions based on movies, TV shows, video games, and cities. 100%. And it's amazing. It's amazing how long the brand actually has been around and is very, 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 very popular. Steve Vendetta. Steve, did you ever work at? You got us there, Steve Vendetta. You got us there. Like that was a huge thing. We were both shocked. And you did some sleuthing there, brother. You did some really big sleuthing there, and congratulations to you, because I was not expecting that you would have jumped in and said something like that. That was a big one for me. So yeah, of course. Well, great sleuthing there, brother. Um, uh, Dubia J, how much of that money went to Transformers Reactive, canceled, and the G.I. Joe game shovelware? That was a very big question. You know what I mean? Like that was huge. And it's hard. It's really unknown about how any of this will work out. But for now, we'll see where it leads to. Steve M, I was looking forward to it. Then I saw the reviews. It's crazy. Shredder's Revenge is really good, but of course, I think the same studio worked on the new new GI Joe beat 'em up, which is really cool. I think that was something huge. Let me just see if I can try Steve one more time. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. Hold on for a second. I'll see if I can wrangle him. And let me see this one. Yeah. So Jay didn't even know Steve's last name. But how could I? So how could I Google him? That's a good question. The tip off was when he mentioned designing Star Wars packaging stuff during the Sith era, which was that Lashley Studios did. And you know what, dude? You put two and two together pretty quickly. We were shocked. We were absolutely shocked. Yeah, Doobie just going crazy right now. I'm sad Hasbro gave up on 1/18th. You could do bigger play sets and vehicles with the smaller vehicles than you can with the 1/12th. No way you can do a HasLab 1/12 scale flag. Can tell you that much. Well, I mean, I did a video showcasing somebody did do a 1/12 scale flag. So I mean, it's not impossible, but at the same time, do you really want it to take up your living room for the foreseeable future? That is a question that is very, very difficult. Looks like we may have lost Steve, but it was always great to have him here on the chat, and of course, Comics Asylum, which we're both having technical difficulties. So, huge shout out to Steve, and of course, Steve Vendetta shouting it out. I visited the studio a couple times in the early 2000s and hung around with Ken, his cousin Bobby, the wrestler, and showed up one time when I stopped by. Dude, you are a sleuth extraordinaire. Like, we both were just floored by what you were saying. It was absolutely crazy. Wow, Dave is good. It's in the house. What's going on? Sculptfire Toppy, thank you, brother, for being here tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to see you. Frankie Rivera, and of course, Steve Vendetta. It was information overload. Jay, your stream couldn't handle my revelation. I have to admit, the chat, the whole stream just cascaded. Jay, beware. Hasbro's next big thing. Chris patented sticks for gamer will be coming. Oh my gosh, it is a scary world we're living in right now, and it really is strange because although Chris Cox is sort of leaning towards the idea of a digital world for gaming and IPs. I mean, the business just has not stopped. I mean, we do have to just recognize that. They still have juice in the tank. As a matter of fact, today, for everybody who's been paying attention, because I certainly have been, and so many other people have been. Hasbro just dropped a bombshell on all of us. I mean, this is something which was very important, and we have to acknowledge this. Over on Hasbro Pulse. Hasbro announced something incredible for a lot of G.I. Joe fans. That's right. It's G.I. Joe Day, and we're dropping intel on 3 new exclusive classified series renders revealed last night from the front lines. The AEW Striker with Crankcase, the Cobra Snake Battle Armor, the Cobra Ninjas Slice and Dice, and that's not all. We're picking up on chatter about incoming G.I. Joe classified series fan stream later this month. More details to come, but trust us, you won't want to miss the briefing. Which of these new recruits are you most excited to see in action? Sound off below and stay with the troops. Guys, this is crazy. Oh my gosh. And let's take a look at these amazing new photos that were posted on Hasbro Pulse. People are losing their minds over these, and of course, is an indication that the toys are not stopping at Hasbro, right? I think a lot of people have been a little bit concerned of that. As a matter of fact, many of our other Toy Tuber friends, I mean, they've a lot of people are questioning it. You know what I mean? No more toys. Is it Disney's worthless kingdom? Why Hasbro wants to stop being a toy maker by Spectre Creative, right? Myself, I did that live stream with my good friend Danny over at Titan Toys. Is Hasbro done with toys? Right? And of course, our good friend Lyle's Figure Files, Jeffrey over there. Don't panic, everybody. Hasbro is not going to stop making toys. And I agree with him. He's not going to, they're not going to stop it right now. It doesn't make sense. A toy company can't really stop their major source of income. The 14th Prime, right? Hasbro CEO decides no more toys, more video games, kinda, right? A lot of people are chiming in on this, and it's the big talk of the town right now. And it's the same thing with us. We have to keep discussing these things as they continue to develop. And let's take a look at the latest toys that were just literally announced by Hasbro on Hasbro Pulse. What's going on, Hasbro? Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at that, guys. Look at that. It's about freaking time. Holy crap. Obviously, the AEW Striker has been showcased in multiple formats. As a matter of fact, Bumblebee was showcased as a transforming AEW Striker. And here we have it with Crankcase. And doesn't this just look freaking amazing, guys? Let's take a closer look at this. There is the AEW Striker. It looks crazy. Look at those tires. Look at that front grille. Oh my god. And of course, look at that roll cage with all the guns, top mounted turret, two bazookas, it looks like, two rocket launchers at the top with additional rocket launchers, the rockets themselves, a front mounted fully automatic rifle. Zooming in closer, we can see a lot more detail on this. I mean, wow. We got the front mounted head floodlights. We got the engine in the back. The actual markings MK00325726531. Those tires are sick, I gotta tell you. And it just looks amazing. I love the decals. I love everything about it. Watch for your head. You don't want to hit it. And another Joe can sit right on top with that new seat, that new front-mounted seat. So we got space for at least 3 Joes in the roll cage. We got one for Crankcase himself, possibly Rock and Roll. Maybe even another. I don't know who it is. It could be Roadblock right here. With this huge freaking gun. Isn't that Roadblock's gun? Somebody help me out here. Maybe even Bazooka. But Bazooka could be up here, right? And then over here we have the 2 ammo cases. We have the full body, the full metal jackets, right? The actual ammo themselves, which would feed into the cases and into, the guns themselves. Awesome stuff. We have a gas canister, 2 additional rockets, and then of course the toolkit. And there he is, Crankcase himself. Awesome to see him. I love the mustache. The mustache is always a nice touch. A wonderful little touch. Great stuff. And then we have he's got his helmet. He's got his goggles. You can even replace the helmet with a what were those things? The visors? I think they were just like visor. You can still have your hair at the top. But this one says off road. We have another full. Looks more like a what are those things called? Like a dirt bike kind of helmet. I like it. I love it actually. And you can put these goggles on top of that helmet, which is really cool. He's got a bandana, which you can put on his face or sling it around his neck, which is sweet. He's got a freaking. Is that what are they called? Stanley? Is that Stanley Cup? Is that what that is? Is that what that is? Is that a Stanley Cup? Yo Joe on the Stanley Cup. And on this side, you can see he's got one sidearm, a pocket, small knife, and some binoculars. Holy crap, guys! Crankcase is ready for action, and he's looking pretty badass. I got to tell you, G.I. Joe Classified Series, digital run to show final product may vary, but it looks freaking amazing for now. Awesome set. Can't wait. The AEW Striker along with Crankcase. And then who else are we expecting in this release? The next one is Cobra Snake Battle Armor. Okay. This one, of course, has already been offered by Super 7 in a format of their Super Cyborg line. Oh my god, this one looks ridiculous. I am absolutely. Oh my god, what is this thing? Holy crap! All right, this one's taking me aback a little bit. I think we saw this in an episode of, and this is actually leading a lot of credence to the idea that they are really moving into the Sunbow cartoon. because I remember this being in an episode of GI Joe, Real American Hero. Let's take a closer look at this one. My God, this is crazy, and I don't think you can put a figure in here. That's going to remain to be seen. But it's pretty amazing. Like, wow. Um, it comes with a host of different accessories as well. But let's take a closer look at the mech itself. So here it is. This is the Snake battle armor, and I don't know what Snake actually stands for. Did they put what it stands for? It says Snake Battle SNAKE battle armor. Consider to remind me what it stands for. A mechanized armor, force of destruction, Cobra's latest battlefield innovation, 6-inch scale, more menacing than ever. All right, so it doesn't actually have a breakdown as to name. I'm gonna have to Google it. Hold on for a second. Snake battle armor. Let's see what it stands for. Here we go. So the snake stands for. Come on, tell me what it stands for at least. Are you serious? Come on, guys. What does it stand for? Seriously, you're not going to tell me what it stands for. Hold on. There it is. I found it. All right. It is the System Neutralizer Armed Cloaking Equipment. It does not have a cloaking device. I don't remember it having a freaking cloaking device. What are they talking about? But I think it. So it stands for S System, N Neutralizer, A Armed, K is cloaking with a K. Equipment is E. So the System Neutralizer Armed Cloaking Equipment. What the hell? Okay, let's go with that. Let's go with that. And there it is, of course. SNAKE. This is the danger symbol up there. Caution. It looks crazy, man. It looks like some sort of crazy mecha design. Of course, and you guys are going to remember that the Sunbow cartoons were animated in Japan. So yeah, this is pretty nuts. M7 right in the front. This literally looks like some sort of steampunk inspired suit of armor. I do believe these things can go underwater, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, Cobra symbols. Look at those mandibles, those manipulators. And yeah, it would be a really cool idea if you could actually fit a figure in here, but I don't think so. Although it does seem to have some sort of cutout here in the front. I wonder if there's an unmovable figure on the inside, maybe a torso or something. Kind of like, the way Tony Stark and the Hulkbuster are, depending on which one you buy. Yeah, man, it looks awesome, to be honest with you. It looks clunky, it looks beefy, it looks exactly the way it did in the show. And let me see if I can bring up. So if you look here, this is thanks to Joepedia. This is actually what they look like. So there they are in their absolute glory. And yeah, it's hard to see the details on these ones, but that is definitely them. And again, Snake Armor stands for System Neutralizer Armed Cloaking Equipment. Like, wow. That just kills me. Comes with I'm skipping ahead here. Comes with a host of accessories, including a flamethrower. That's really cool. Along with three flame effects, a pilot light, a full-on flame, and a ball of fire. Very, very cool. It also comes with a claw manipulator, so it can like crunch Joes at any level. It has a gun, I believe, or is it a rocket launcher? It's hard to tell from this angle. And a rocket itself. I do believe that is the rocket launcher. So, wow, crazy. The Cobra Snake Armor, everybody. And then finally, because I have to look at the name here, they are also releasing the Cobra Ninja Slice and Dice. Masters of Deception and Destruction. This ruthless duo is sharpening their blades to carry out Cobra's next plot. And there they are, everybody. There are Slice and Dice. Wow, this pack out is extensive. There's a lot of accessories in this one. Now tell me who Slice. Okay, so if there's anybody in the chat, who is Slice and who is Dice? Because I'm having a hard time figuring out who's who. I'm not sure any of us really know who is Slice and who is Dice. But there they are, Slice and Dice. Fascinating. I love the pack out. I love the Oni mask here. It looks really cool. It's not really an Oni. I guess it is an Oni. Looks more like a some sort of. It's not the kitsune either. It's a baboon. Yeah, that's a baboon with horns. Interesting. Yeah. And then of course we see the actual head sculpt here. Very nice. Got a really big scar on the front here. It's pretty crazy. I love the straw hat. That's always a wonderful, cool samurai type idea. They have a halberd, but it's oh, look at this. We got Hey Steve, you want to pop back in? We're live again. No, okay. Take your time. I'm still on. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Okay. All right. Bye. All right. So he also has a. Do you call that a poncho? What is that? It's kind of just it's kind of just a shawl, I guess. I don't know, something like that. And he's got a couple of fists. He's got two karate chop hands. He's got these awesome blades, which I think these are probably toy inspired. And he's got that weird Chinese weapon that I don't know what to call it. Does anybody know what this is? Somebody help me in the comment section. We'll have to figure it out. I don't know what that is exactly. Let me see. Let me see what can I make of that? I don't know what that is. He's got two of those. And then I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is Dice. I'm gonna say that this is Slice, who looks awesome, by the way. He's got another Oni mask on, which is really cool. He's got a full metal jacket, a couple of grenades in there, a couple of shells. I think that's what I want to talk. I guess that's what we'll call them. And what else does he have? He's got some shuriken in there. Are those shuriken or are those like holsters? I think those are no. That's not shuriken. What is that? No, it is shuriken. I think. Or did that house the belt? I don't know. They look like shuriken to me. A little bit of a good luck charm here, and down here he's got a sash, which looks pretty cool. And I think that's all new tooling on the accessories. And he's got these really cool boots. I think they might be lifted off another ninja set. Somebody can tell me in the comment section if you want, because I think that's the case. I don't know 100% for sure, but let me know what you guys think, if that's actually part of the set. I'm just gonna try something here, guys. Okay, something's wrong. I think you guys are still chatting in the or maybe not. All right. Anyway, guys, if you're still in the chat, let me know, because I see there are still people watching, but at the same time, I'm not seeing much activity on the chat. So I'm hoping that you guys haven't, or nothing's wrong, because there might be something. The connection might be off or something. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for sticking around, guys. This is a lot of fun. Let's see here. What else do we got? He also has, okay, so that was Slice and this is Dice. He has those two fists, those two karate chop hands, those really nice looking. They both have very distinctive looking shin pads, and he's got the curly toes like Dr. Mindbender, and he's got the more webbed feet, very much like the ninjas that we've already received. He's got another waist sash, which looks really nice. He's got a bit of rope at the top there. He also has these gauntlets, which look really cool, and the upper shoulder pauldrons, very nice. He's also got this crazy snake eyes looking, Cobra Viper looking helmet, which is really neat. And he's got this crazy, and that's definitely an Oni mask. That looks crazy. That looks nuts. They also come with a bunch of kunai. I don't know. What is that? Does anybody know what that is? That is a strange looking. I don't know what that is. Do you put it on your waist? Do you put it on your crotch? I don't know what that is. They also come with a sai, a Chinese dragon-headed axe, which is crazy. Two of them, in fact. Well, actually, yeah, two short dragon axes, and that thing which Raphael likes now. I don't know what that thing is. He's got two of those too. Wow, crazy. So, if you're worried that Hasbro is not making any toys, guys, that's not true. Hasbro is definitely still making toys. It'll still be their bread and butter for a long time. I don't think we have to worry too much about that. So, there you are. Hasbro is still going on back on and making toys. It's definitely there. Steve is still in the house. Good to see you, my friend. And it looks like we have some solutions here. Um, let's see where we go. Oh, you guys started chatting again. All right, so here we go. Steve M. Well, if the two Steves are here, good to see you. Steve. Well, if Hasbro is going to go gaming, maybe they can get the Motu license to make sorry, they can get Motu license to make a game for them. That would be interesting. But again, they're not looking to license toys anymore. They're just, and I don't know if they're going to make another game out of it, but it is possible. I don't know. And look who's here! Steve's back. Good to see you, Steve. We had a huge technical difficulties there. It was crazy, brother. It was crazy.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thanks for holding down the fort. It was a good thing. The stream never actually stopped. Steve Vendetta. Look, it's been all Steves.
Oh.
Like we got Steve M, we got Steve Vendetta, we got Steve in the. Picture this: Transformers Motu crossover. Again, there's been a talk about that for a while now. Matadons is an Autobot pretender shell for Braun. Well, you know what? Maybe that's actually a good idea. That would actually make sense. Steve M. Wow, so slight redesign as they go deep 6. Yes. If you're talking about the snake armor, we were just talking. Actually, Steve, don't you join us? We're talking about how Hasbro has definitely not stopped making toys. They just announced these new action figures today. So we have the AEW Striker with crankcase. We have the Cobra Snake armor. And we have the Slice and Dice 2-pack. So if there was any concern...
So hold on a second. So let me just jump in here then with my conspiracy hat. Maybe this is just to have people talk that they're getting out of the game. But really all they're doing is opening a gaming division.
So to further you on that tinfoil hat, let me remind, and Steve's gonna hate me for this, but let me remind you of my own theory.
Steve M or Steve?
No, you, Steve.
Okay.
So let me remind you of my own theory, Steve. That, and here's a conspiracy for you, Steve. I fully believe that the first Sonic the Hedgehog trailer was a bait and switch. Okay. I truly believe that they made those trailers just to get buzz because they never intended for that stupid hedgehog to ever be made in that fashion. They knew better than that. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Steve? That horrid,
oh my God,
nightmare
horrid design,
nightmare hedgehog. There was no way that was going to go on screen. It was absolutely horrid. It looked like they put that thing in their basement. It was they created in their basement. It was terrible. It was absolutely horrid. So it's my assertion, and I've said this since time, that they put that out just to get people talking and get outraged and get freaking really pissed off, just to gain interest in a real film they were still working on. And when it finally came out, look what happened. It wasn't the biggest blockbuster in the world, but man, did it kickstart the Sega movie franchises. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and the movies have just gotten better.
Yeah. What are we up to now? 3? We're up to the third movie now already, right?
And the third movie was like gangbusters.
Yeah, and a television series, a spinoff with Knuckles, right? So,
yeah,
I think it worked. I think it worked. So yes, maybe you're right. Maybe this is just Chris Cox's way to really rally the investors. But the problem is, it might have a double-edged sword. Whenever you talk about moving in one direction that people aren't used to, that can scare investors too, right? So, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. Okay. Sure. So Steve M says Slice is red and Dice is purple. Okay, so we got it right. So Slice is red and Dice. I got it backwards. It is the other way around. Slice is red and Dice is purple. So I got it wrong. Slice comes across as almost the whole pizza accessory. He's got a raggedy cape, toothbrush without the brush. He's commenting on all the accessories.
Right.
Might as well bring them up. So we know what he's talking about. So yeah, and what else do we have? Dice comes with a slap chop. That's hilarious, dude. That is hilarious. Did you read all the comments from Steve? How he figured out how he sleuthed your identity together?
I read some of them. That he just knew that that Lashley's studio was doing Revenge of the Sith box art.
Yeah. And apparently he was at the studio. He was at the studio once visiting Ken, and apparently his cousin came by. That's
So we may have crossed paths, Steve.
yeah. We might have passed
Possible.
100%. Steve M, way too many Steves here. You can never have too many Steves. What are you talking about? Don't you guys know the song? It's you and me and you and my friend Steve.
So we started the meme, right? It wasn't Spider-Man. It was the Steves that started the meme.
Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba, Steve. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba, Steve. Steve is the third wheel. Come on, man. We need the third
That's
wheels
true.
all over the place.
I'm not sure
Steve
what my
M.
background is strobe lighting, but you know.
Steve M. A very Steve-able scenario. Ooh, Steve.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, Steve. I think, and I'm only talking to my Steve. I'm talking to my Steve. A lot of developments happening. But I don't think we're going to see the end. Like let's wrap this up in a little bow. What are your final thoughts on the possibility that Hasbro might get out of toys entirely? Because that seems to be the question on everybody's mind. What are your thoughts, Steve? Do you think Hasbro is going to fold up shop and go the route of digital gaming?
No, and I think what it's going to come down to is they're going to take a page out of the automobile industry and get the people that do stuff better than you to do it, right? You know, a lot of brands will buy up other brands or will license off. You know, you'll work on engines together and stuff like that. But I can't see them getting out of what has been their bread and butter. But if someone else can make a better sculpt and they make more money, and then they don't have as much invested into the sculpt and the molds and, you know, all that kind of stuff, the paint and all that kind of stuff, then I can see them farming out what they're doing right now and then seeing if they can then increase their market share by leveraging the IPs huge, right, into either gaming or streaming or something along those lines.
I am 100% on board with you, Steve. I think you're absolutely right. I do think that it's impossible for any, especially when you're as big as Hasbro, $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar company, number one in toys right now, still, to actually, completely separate themselves from toys. They have to be on some level, in the toy industry. It's kind of like how Konami at one point just wanted to do nothing but pachinko games. It's just so strange, right? And look at them now. Now they're relicensing all their IPs and as you said, allowing other companies to play in their yard. You know what I mean? And it seems like that seems to be the same system that Hasbro's trying to adopt. And it looks like Chris, but I think it's evident that Chris Cox is definitely of a gamer mindset and believes that the IPs are better served on the digital market. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm eager to see where we end up being, and with these new tariffs, unfortunately, that seem to be plaguing everybody in terms of like the rest of the world trying to create products. Toys are going to become very, very expensive in the next next quarter. So it'll be interesting to see where we end up landing on the final number with this. But it's interesting to see. But let's move on from the toy talk, Steve, to something a little bit more, movie based. Some major dramatic shifts are going on with a couple of movies which a lot of comic book fans have been very much looking forward to. As a matter of fact, I think you and I talked about it a little bit behind the scenes, but Superman, the new Superman movie, Steve, is in peril. We are in a bit of a situation with the Superman movie. According to Variety, and this was written by Gene Mattis.
This is breaking news, man. Just a little over a day old.
Absolutely. According to Gene Mattis over at Variety, Superman's creator estate sues DC and Warner Brothers over foreign copyrights ahead of the James Gunn reboot. So, explain this to me, Steve. What does that mean, foreign rights? What are we looking at here?
So basically, from my understanding, and I think this is the Schuster estate, and I'm not sure when they fully came into agreement with DC or Warner Brothers, in terms of getting some sort of compensation for creating the character, or their I think their grandfathers, Siegel and Schuster, for creating the characters. But the foreign rights, copyrights, means that the film can't be distributed outside of the U.S. So
Wow, really?
I think this move blocks Superman from being put into theaters or being able to be shown in theaters outside of the United States.
Wait a second. Does that mean
So
that
that means
Canada's not going to get to see this movie?
no. So we're gonna have to drive to Buffalo, my friend. We're gonna
What the
drive to
hell,
Buffalo
man?
and go check it out.
What the f, man, dude? That's you got to be kidding me. That's
Yeah.
crazy. This is getting nuts. According to this article, the estate of Superman co-creator Joe Shuster sued DC Comics and Warner Brothers on Friday, seeking to invalidate the company's copyrights in several foreign markets. The suit receives a long-running dispute that was last addressed by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal in 2013. So apparently it wasn't actually resolved at all. The court rejected Schuster's estate's attempt to cancel the Superman copyright, finding Schuster's sister had signed away her termination rights after his death in 1992. Wow. I'm not sure this has legs, though, Steve. This one's going to be a new one.
We'll
The
see.
new case. Sorry, what was that?
We'll see. We'll definitely see. It's going to be thorny.
We will see. In the new case, the estate's attorney Mark Tulberoff asserts claims under the copyright law of the UK, Canada, Ireland, and Australia. The suit comes months before Warner Brothers Discovery that will release Superman this summer, relaunching the valuable franchise and start planning a cinematic universe of DC characters. And it's also curious, the timing on this, Steve, though. I mean, like, you know, curiosity is not the word. It is convenient, the timing on this, because you basically have the marketing machine going in full tilt, you know, and we do know in the past that moves like this have happened before. You know, I of course am citing Mike Tyson's claim that his tattoo is not supposed to be used on somebody else's face. That it is a tattoo. Actually, it wasn't Mike Tyson himself; it was the artist who actually did the tattoo, designed the tattoo for Mike Tyson. And their assertion was that that's their private property.
And they're right, James, because I'm working on a film right now where if any of the performers have tattoos, you have to get clearance from the tattoo artist for those tattoos to be shown on screen
or cover them up.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not like this precedent doesn't have legs. This is something that's been around for time. So the timing is very convenient because they know that perhaps they can just blackball them into settling so that the movie can come out internationally, which of course is where the big bucks come from. An international release all over the world is something you want because anything that gets out there right now goes into the net virtually the same day, right? Because somebody with a camera sneaks in,
is ripping it, man.
Has a private viewing, you know, like pays for a private viewing, and bang, it's on the internet within 24 hours. So it's crucial for them to have this international opening, and it probably is just a maneuver to just get them to settle for a load of cash. So that's my assertion of it. What's your take on this, Steve?
I'm always going to fight for the creators' rights, and DC had done them dirty. A lot of those old creators, and even to this day, sometimes the creator only gets a little bit of a nod at the end of the movie if they remember them. It's gotten better, but you know, it's also curious with Superman, you know, entering public domain in what is it, like 12 years or something like that. So it's really interesting.
Superman, yeah,
like the OG version, which is what, you know, Schuster would have created in the first place. So it's kind of interesting, along with Siegel. So it's very interesting. To me, it's just bad PR, man. Like, companies pay the creators, pay the estates of the creators. You're making money hand over fist. You're not going to go bankrupt by you know, giving the creators their just due. And basically, this is why in comic books now there's a dearth of great characters, because people know, any creator worth you know, their salt knows, why am I going to give this publishing company this great character? I'll just do a self-published novel or a self-published book go through Image where I can, you retain creator rights, and you keep it for yourself, and you never have to fight about whatchamacallit. You never have to fight about I created Ghost Rider or I co-created Wolverine, right? Which are some of the ones that we're knocking around recently. So I'm totally on pay the creators, man.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I don't disagree 100%. You definitely need to pay the people who created these wonderful IPs and these wonderful works. I mean,
Yeah.
years later, Warner Brothers is and DC Comics are still raking in the cash from these from these beloved characters, and it's seemingly unending, right?
Yeah.
So it is convenient that it happens at this time, but you know what? It's strategic, right? They need to
Everything's strategic. Nothing's
everything
by coincidence.
everything's strategic. Um, that'll pretty much do it for today, Steve. Unless you have anything else to talk about
No, I
for
think you know what though. There's one thing you might want to search it up. And we
sure,
can look at it for a couple of seconds.
sure. What are we
A
looking for?
little birdie told me that Jim Lee sculpted or designed some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures.
Is that actually was it Jim Lee? Let's double check. Let me do a
Let's
quick
double check because I'm not sure.
let me do a quick search on that. While we're doing that, I did want to mention one really quick thing, which um, we can have a quick look at. Do you remember Master Universe much, Steve, or was that your game, or were you pretty much into GI Joe and stuff like that?
I watched a little bit of Masters Universe
Okay,
for sure.
all right.
Even
Well,
some Shiro, man.
yeah. While I'm searching for that, two little pieces that came across my desk. Thanks to our good friends over at Toy Habits. Great friends of the channel, guys. Definitely give them a like and a follow. Tell them that Jay sent you. They dropped a couple of nuggets today. The first one we'll take a look at that in a second. But the most significant one that happened this weekend was over at Spielwarenmesse, the toy show in Germany, the biggest toy show in the German toy fair. And this is a rumor. We have to treat it as a rumor. We cannot confirm if this is real or not. But a lot of people are getting excited about the idea that someone apparently spotted the Fright Zone for Master Universe Origins. Yep, somebody spotted the Fright Zone. It's Spielwarenmesse, and this is brand new for 2025, and it comes on the heels of the not controversial, but I guess not really controversial, but the Snake Lair, which is still in limbo and hasn't really had any more press on it. But this is interesting. Now, this is of course the vintage version, and the rumor is that someone at the show saw an updated version of the Fright Zone. Yeah. Do you remember the Fright Zone at all, Steve?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
It was the playset for the Evil Horde. It's as you see it here, built into a mountain face, big tree, and a sock puppet snake, essentially. So basically, if we break it down, so this is the basic set itself. You see, it's got a cage, it's got a hole for the sock puppet, it's got the tree with a couple of ravens on it, and it's got the sock puppet itself. So really cool. The problem with the sock puppet is it's made of a very malleable plastic, and over the years, it has deteriorated in many cases. So most sock puppets are, for the most part, like trash. They have for the most part
cracked and everything by now.
Yeah, absolutely, cracked, melted in some cases, and so many different things. So a lot of people have been hoping for a new, updated version, and to it have actually shown up in rumor at least at Spielwarenmesse. We are very excited about that. What are your thoughts about this, though, Steve? Because honestly, reissuing play sets in this manner, there's been a lot of debate as to whether or not this should have been crowdfunded or if this should be a retail release. And it's not that big, as you can see. I mean, it's it's got a very small.
What are the specs on it? What are the dimensions on that? Do you know?
I don't think there are any actual dimensions. Not here anyway. But if I had to guess, I would say it's about 12 inches by. Yeah, I would say it's like 12 inches by 12 inches by 9 inches, and then the tree would make it. The tree would make it another 4 inches, probably another 4 inches on top. So yeah, about 12 by 12 by uh, 13. 12 by 12 by 13.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
It's a decent size. Well,
it's a
it
decent.
would be interesting to see how they've built it with new materials, right? Like what would the sock puppet be now? Would it even be a sock puppet? So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. But like I'm always like on the fence when companies that have bank crowdfund. I'm always on the fence on that.
Yep, that would be the most interesting part, and we'll see how that pans out. Um, hmm. I'm looking for that Jim Lee design TMNT figures. Let me see if I can. Was this today?
Go to TMTpedia.
Yeah, that's the article I found just now. There's also one on the Fwoosh, so I'll bring these two up, and
Yeah,
we'll have a discussion on these two. All right, so let's have a look at these. So obviously, Jim Lee being one of the juggernauts in the industry,
just
is,
because.
is he still president of DC right now, or
Yes,
is it? Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. So
yes, I
he's
think so.
definitely
I think so.
he's definitely a big player in the market. Apparently, according to, and I can only chalk this up as rumors. Um, there was the Jim Lee TMNT set. Now, mind you, this was one that was released in 1988. I don't know if it was actually released or these are
I think these are just designs, but I'd never heard of them, and they somehow came back into the news like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and I was like,
yeah.
Jim Lee did
So
TMNT.
so apparently they were released. Jim Lee TMNT are a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figure subline released by Playmates Toys in 1995. They were packaged with mini comics. A Leonardo figure was
Ah,
planned. Say Leonardo's the one. A Leonardo was planned but never released. So that's interesting. The four brothers have never been split up before. So the fact that
mhm,
the fact that Leonardo is missing is tragic. But according
right.
to the Fwoosh, there seems to be some chatter. Now this was a year ago. All right, this was back in May 18th of 2024. Saw this on TNI while the board was down. I don't know what to make of it. So apparently, people are talking again about we're talking again about it, and so Norm here says I remember seeing Jim Lee designs across cell of the Savage Dragon, and here are the actual pages themselves. So there's
Mm,
Leonardo, the proposed figure back in the day. Jim Lee TMNT figure assortment: Turtles rediscovered for the comic roots, and the text is too muddy to read. But new comic book styled superheroes.
it does have a Wildcats look, though, for sure.
Definitely 100% has a
Oh my
Wildcats
god.
right there from Jim Lee, creator of Wildcats, and it's around that time, right?
Hmm.
They were heavy. They were 100% heavy into Image, and they're definitely looking at it again. So the fact that so here's the great thing about toys. The fact that Leonardo was not released is one of those things where it allows for a new version to come out. And I imagine Playmates is behind this if there is some sort of credence to this. But we'll definitely take a look at all of these and continue to keep an eye out for this. How did this come across your desk, Steve? Like where was this one?
I'm
Um,
not sure. I'm not sure if it was on Blue Sky, um, or where I came across it, but I know that I saw it show up, and I was like, I had no idea that Lee had any connection to TMNT redesign for toys or
I'm
mini
pretty shocked.
comics or anything like that.
I'm pretty much shocked myself. I mean, like I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, but admittedly, around the time that these probably came out, I was already well into like my like
Yeah,
doing stuff in other realms like anime. I was that heavy into anime around that time. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, still fascinating. I mean, I love the chainmail idea here with
Mhm.
Leonardo. I love the Hermes helm, very
Yes,
Thor in its overall appearance.
it's like Thor and Deathlock combined.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. The style, even though it's very Wildcats, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'm thinking like Rob Liefeld, got me there
Yes,
and did
yes,
a few
yes,
weird things. I don't
definitely.
know.
If you had told me that Liefeld designed these,
I
I
would
would have
not be
went,
surprised.
yeah, sure, yeah.
I would not be surprised. So the fact that like I'm kind of surprised that these are Jim Lee designs. Um, I would lean more towards Liefeld in my opinion, but it does.
Mhm.
But it's these little things. You know, there are certain things on
Yeah,
here that are
yeah,
very Jim Lee-esque.
yeah.
So,
Just
you
stuff
know
for
what?
stuff's sake.
These are loose. They're super loose. They're not tight designs at all. So, yeah, man. Like
Yeah,
fascinating though. Regardless of which way you cut it, that is really fascinating. Looking at the final releases though. It didn't fall too far from the tree. I mean, like a lot of them.
no, they're pretty
Uh,
faithful.
yeah, they're pretty faithful actually, and I'm actually really glad for that. That actually looks pretty cool. And actually, this is really
Mhm.
neat. You can actually see, is it a plasteron or a carapace? But you can see that that's an
Yeah,
underlay, right?
yes,
That is cool. I like that. I like that.
cybernetic.
He is a cybernetic Raphael. That's cool, man. And they all
Yeah,
seem to have
looks
some
good.
sort of cybernetic parts, right?
Yeah, some of them are in the meat grinder a little bit more than the others.
Yeah. I was thinking that Donnie's is like a suit, right?
Hmm.
But looking
Looks
at it
like it,
again,
like an exoskeleton.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fascinating. Um,
Who knew?
yeah, but I would love to see.
That's our history moment, our toy
Yeah,
history
but I would
moment.
love to see an updated version of this for sure. I mean, they look neat. They do. They definitely look fascinating. Um, Andrew Davis and the winner of the 2025 Royal Rumble, Steve. Steve reminded us that the only three lead design turtles were actually made. So yeah, we are missing one, and it would be really great to see these come to full fruition. Steve M is very excited about the Origins Fright Zone. I think we all are. Vendetta says if you orientate that picture as a portrait, it looks like Stoops is about to plant a kiss on Snow.
Yeah.
Really, 12 years for wow, Superman horror film 2037. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the timing is just right. To get maximum coinage, the timing is just right. So we will
Yeah, totally.
we will see how that grows. TVM goes on. G.I. Joe has one up over Marvel figures and Star Wars figures. No, you know what though? G.I. Joe is going strong while the other two IPs are sort of floundering. To be honest with you, so we'll see how that pans out. And you know what? We're going to take a last comment from Steve Vendetta. The Plastron is on the Troll's undershell, which is what I said. I said that the
Hmm.
Plastron, it seems like on his chest here, has been replaced by cybernetic parts, right? So I couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out. So this is the Carapace and this is the Plastron. Okay, so that's one of the. I just wanted to. I always get those two mixed up. Wow, what a freaking day, Steve. I mean,
Yeah, we kind of had everything. We had
yeah, we had
great news, crazy technical difficulties. It was all good. It was all good, man.
and
It's
and
good.
a
It's good to be
lawsuit.
back and chopping it up with you.
Absolutely, and a lawsuit to boot like that. You can't get much better
Yeah.
than that, Steve.
No, pretty much the full gamut of everything.
Steve, what are you working on right now? Once again, please reiterate what's going on with Comics Asylum, what you're working on, and how can people reach you, my friend?
All right, so you can find us at comicsasylum.com. You can also find us at comicsasylumpub.com. That's where you can get the comic books for Atrium. So we have just received issues 4 and 5 from the printers. They've been delivered and in our hands, and now we'll be spending the next week or a week and a half fulfilling them and getting them to all of our backers that supported the last campaign. And then we're going to look forward to the convention circuit where we're going to be able to meet you guys in the flesh and talk Atrium and hand out some new issues. Yeah, so there's the cover for issue number 5. Yeah, so that's what we got going on. And then stay tuned to our YouTube channel because we'll also be doing more live streams with Jay, but also my recent trip to 08X, which is the original art expo. We'll be putting up some really cool videos for you to not only get a little bit of the behind the scenes of what happened at the show, but also to meet some of the artists that we had a chance to talk to and get their insight on how things are rolling. Yes, I'm going to have to get that stool, Jay. You're correct.
And catch up because Steve's been on the. He's been making a star of himself on television. You guys got to check that out. He plays a police officer,
You're too kind.
a spy. He plays espionage. Always great to chop it up with Steve. Thank you again, my brother. We'll definitely we definitely have to hang out again sometime. Grab some lunch. Always good to see you, brother. But guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Still an unknown future for Hasbro, but I think both Steve and I are in agreement. Toys are still very much in the future for Hasbro. Yeah. I don't think that toys are going anywhere.
They ain't going anywhere. No.
I think that I'm starting to buy in to Steve's to Steve's theory here. I like that tinfoil hat. It seems to me that they are just drumming up excitement or drama or something just to get into the public consciousness, and I think that that's a good thing. But it's a gamble which can really backfire. So hopefully Chris Cox knows what the F he's doing. So we'll see exactly where this leads. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Oh, dude, massive fingers crossed. But I still want my toys, man. I still want my G.I. Joes.
Of course. Got to feed the beast.
Now, mind you, I wouldn't mind getting a decent video game, but we'll see how that works out. Anyway, I want to thank my good friend Steve for being here, of course. Huge shout out to everybody out here in Comics Asylum. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Steve, have a good weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, you too. Stay safe, everyone. Jay, as always, the best to you.
Absolutely. You want to wrap it up for us, Steve?
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us and for all the wonderful comments. Everyone who's out there in Toyland and in comic books, remember, keep it indie.
Good journey, everybody. Keep proud.